Welcome back, everyone. We're here with another Q&A. So, anything that I say is definitely not meant to cure you or replace your medical care. Check with them before implementing any of the things we're going to talk about. But we have some great lineup guests in the green room. So I suggest we just jump right in, Steve, and try to answer as many as we can.
All right, let's do it. You ask and you shall receive. Carol, are you ready? We're going to get Carol up here first, and she's from Tacoma, Washington, and she's reporting rain. What a surprise. Carol, you are on. You're on with Dr. Berg. Go ahead.
You gotta love the rain.
Oh, yeah.
Yes, my question is, first of all, I'm in the throes of inflammation due to my diagnosis of GCA, a form of vasculitis. And so I'm presently trying to rebuild my gut biome with anti-inflammatory foods. The nutritional plan I'm making and trying to get done, stress reduction, exercise. I was a triathlete 4 years ago, and
Wow.
intermittent fasting, and I'm getting into that and doing that fairly well. The first question I have, or the question I have, is that in a recent episode you mentioned glutamine for reducing inflammation, and the dietary piece of that, of course, is the foods that would be eaten. But if I chose not to do beef in that list, if I were to supplement, my question is, if I had the supplement in a heated environment or coffee or something like that, if that decreases the supplement's effectiveness, and how could I go about finding out how many servings or how much of glutamine is in each of the pieces that you gave us, like the beef and cottage cheese and kefir, eggs, and so forth?
A very good question. Have a question for you first. What type of foods are you looking at to eat that are anti-inflammatory? So that would be the first question. I just want to know what you're thinking about that.
Yeah, well, I followed your advice. I eat a lot of cabbage, cheese, especially hard cheese because the vitamin K piece, eggs, fish, especially salmon. I love it up here, so I can have it every day, just about. But I have it about 4 days a week, actually. Yeah, bone broth, which I make myself. And then everything else is just strictly staying away from the things that I'm sensitive to. So I don't do the things that I know I'm sensitive to anyway.
Okay, good. So I think you're on the right track.
What's the green?
Good. I think, glutamine can come in a powder or a capsule, which actually is powder too. To my knowledge, I do not think it's heat sensitive, so you may be able to have it in your coffee. So I think that's a possibility. As far as dosage, I don't have the exact dosage, but you're getting a lot of glutamine from all these protein sources. I think, so I think you're good on that. I think I just would make sure I would avoid fiber. I would avoid other plants other than maybe some of that cabbage, just because it can irritate the gut, especially if there's inflammation in the gut. One really good remedy for you would be tocotrienols for inflammation internally. Tocotrienols are a really good one for you. You're kind of in luck with a new device we're going to be releasing, which is called heart rate variability, it's great for athletes, but it'll give you an idea of what's really going on internally without having to do some expensive test. And it measures your sympathetic and autonomic nervous system. And athletes typically, especially triathlons, it'd be really interesting to see your biological age and the health of your aorta, as well as your carotids, because it can measure that. So it's like your biological age of those arteries, of all that training, and be interesting to see where you're at. And especially if you have inflammation, that relates to this as well. So anyhow, I think tocotrienols, I think you're on the right track with that. I would just avoid other plant sources because it probably is going to irritate your gut more than anything.
Yeah. And the piece that is hardest is because of the diagnosis, they had to give me high dose prednisone. And in so doing, I have to really concentrate on rebuilding the bone loss, the muscle loss, all the different things that unfortunately, the only drug of choice for this particular diagnosis, because it does attack the posterior branch of the ophthalmic artery. So you go blind. And so they have to hit you really hard with the prednisone first, taper down, and then you try to build your life again, which I'm doing now, thanks to your show.
Oh, okay. So there's one more thing then. Colostrum. Colostrum is a really good repair for the gut. Goat or sheep colostrum. I think there's like one company out there that sells that. That way you could, it's going to be A2 from A2 milk, not A1 milk. So that's going to be less of an allergy issue. So yeah, colostrum is going to be good. But I do understand that the prednisone is very catabolic. It breaks down muscle, bone, everything. So I had to use that every year for poison ivy for I don't know how many years, and that's what got me pretty good too. But you can recover from it. So I think you're on your way. I think you're in the right direction, basically.
Rebuilding. Thank you for your pieces on these things that we need like that to help us to do a rebuild. Thank you.
Absolutely, my pleasure.
That's great. Thank you very much, Carol. Good luck with that. Get back with us as we ask all the people that join the show and let us know how you're doing in the future. And speaking of the show, let's rip right into social media, which now includes Rumble. Let's start with Janice from YouTube. Can TUDCA, your gallbladder formula, and niacin be used together? She got quite a formula there to reduce high cholesterol levels while doing keto.
Yeah, because the primary mode of excess cholesterol is through the bile ducts. So if you're adding TUDCA, you're going to open up that bile duct real nice to allow things to go through, which is the type of bile salt itself. And then the vitamin 3 is one of the best natural cholesterol lowering things that you can take. And there's so much research behind it. It's just crazy. So those would be a great combination of things for sure.
Very good. Okay. Let's see. Unmeb from Rumble. What nutrients should I be taking, to address floaters? Can these supplements be taken with others at the same time or separately?
I think I did a video on that, but it's a liquid. I think it's an MSM liquid product that you can watch that video and get it, and it tends to help as an antioxidant to the internal part of the eye that penetrates the eye. There's also another remedy called NAC for the eye. And if I'm not mistaken, it comes in drops too. So that can penetrate the lens. That's more for cataracts, but it can also be used for floaters. But think about floaters as something related to what's called glycation, where you're combining this protein with a sugar, and that's why diabetics have a lot of floaters too. So if you start to reduce your sugars, go on keto, they should improve. But like, how do you get rid of this residual glycation? Because that kind of gets stuck in the body. Well, you have to get your body in a state of what's called autophagy. And that's the recycling of these damaged proteins and cleaning them up. It's like a house cleaning. And there's a couple of different ways to get your body in autophagy: fasting, periodic prolonged fasting, and exercise. Those are the two most powerful ones. And then, of course, not adding more sugar that contributes to making it worse.
Very good. We got some great questions. This is a record. Absolutely all of them are true falsers. So you guys can relax and have a 50% chance of being brilliant. Here's the first one.
All right. True or false? You can be healthy without being fit. Is that true or is that false?
All right, there's hope for you couch potatoes out there, and let's see what the audience has to say and what science says, for goodness sakes. David from Facebook, what can one do to lower fasting glucose when testing outside of the fasting window? That's interesting. Or is it normal for it to be high outside of the window?
Well, it's gonna be a little higher when you eat, especially carbs, but it shouldn't be higher when you're not eating. But the point is that there is non-pathological reasons for a higher blood sugar. For example, the dawn phenomena, which you basically wake up in the morning and your sugar is high because really the liver is still has insulin resistance, and that takes some time. But you normally at 8 o'clock in the morning have a little spike of cortisol. So you should have a little spike of blood sugars because the cortisol mobilizes this stored sugar. Also, your blood sugar could increase just from exercise. So there's a lot of different reasons. And I actually did a video on this recently, probably a couple of days ago. You can look at all of them, but I wouldn't worry about it. The main test to do to see if there's a big problem is to check your A1C. That'll really kind of give you a better clue than even your blood sugars, because it's an average of 3 months of blood sugar. But again, one way to cope with this extra sugar, if it's not coming from your diet, is exercise, because you can just burn it off and not have to worry about it, and do other things to stabilize insulin resistance, like the apple cider vinegar diluted with water, cinnamon on your cinnamon toast, and I'm being sarcastic, and also berberine is a good one as well.
All right, very good. Adarsh, I hope I said that right, from YouTube. How long will it take to heal my peripheral neuropathy on the keto diet? The symptoms have lessened, but there's still a lot of burning.
Exactly 4.2 months.
Yay.
No, I have no idea. I think what I would do is to speed it up, I would add benfotiamine, which is a fat soluble B1, and that it acts like a real powerful antioxidant to support the damage from a blood sugar issue in the peripheral nerves. But just realize if it's taking longer than it should, it probably because it's pretty invasive, because it's not just affecting the peripheral nerves, it's affecting the kidney, the eyes, the brain, the arteries. So it could take some time, but usually when you get on keto, I mean, I've noticed improvements within even a few weeks. But if you add the benfotiamine, if you found a nerve support formula that has benfotiamine and alpha lipoic acid, that would be even a better option there.
All right, good luck with that, Adarsh. And Shirley from YouTube as well. I'm on statin. Should I be taking magnesium? And how about berberine?
Yes and yes, but more importantly, you should be taking coenzyme Q10 in reduced form. I think it's called ubiquinol, because that's on the studies. That was the one that really produced results more than the coenzyme Q10. So ubiquinol is what you need to take for sure, because it follows the same pathways biochemically as what the statin does, which is an inhibitor of cholesterol. So the coenzyme Q10 is so important in your mitochondria, and you better take that to prevent all sorts of muscle diseases. And so that's what I would recommend. And everything else is a side note.
All right, well, here's Greg enjoying his purchase of your raspberry and lemon electrolyte powder. It tastes great with an exclamation mark. He reports, can I use it multiple times per day? The label cautions do not exceed the recommended dose. Well,
the thing is that we have to put various disclaimers on there, but there's always exceptions. And there's not a problem with taking it more than once, because those minerals in certain levels are not retained by the kidney. If you have extra, it'll get rid of it. But just think about a video I did recently on the requirements for potassium, 4,700 milligrams a day, right? So one dosage would be only 1,000. So there's other reports that show that we might need even up to 11,000 milligrams of potassium a day. So it's something that's unknown. It wouldn't hurt to experiment, especially if you're deficient in potassium, and then also go by how you feel. You're feeding the sodium potassium pump, which generates power to your muscles and your nerves. Plus you're balancing out the sodium. But don't forget, if you're taking electrolyte powder and you're not exercising and sweating a lot, don't forget to add more salt, because it is low in salt, unless you take the sport version of that. But I think a lot of people, when they go on keto, typically don't consume enough salt, just in general. And what happens, they might feel a little weak in the muscles. They might not have the endurance. And also, when you're on a low salt diet and you're drinking a lot of water, diluting it even more, that can actually raise the flight or fight adrenal mechanism, and that can interrupt your sleep, going to sleep. So anyway, it's something to look at. And if you have sleeping problems, just take a little salt before bed, not on your chips, but just in some water or whatever, and you'll see that you might sleep a little bit better. Or just add it more to your food.
All right, very good. Why don't we take a moment out to say a good morning to all of our viewers and veterans, as Terry points out, who are joining us today from the UK, Canada, Mexico, Mozambique, Pakistan, Antigua, Jordan, St. Lucia, educate me on that, Terry, Bermuda, Norway, Poland.
Lucia.
Thank you. Romania, Egypt, Belgium, Australia, Ethiopia, India, Peru, Colombia, the Virgin Islands, Greece, France, Nepal, China, South Africa, Finland, Oman, Israel, the Congo, the Republic of the Congo, Tanzania, New Zealand, South Korea, Germany, Trinidad and Tobago, Eritrea, Qatar, or Qatar, as some people say, Nigeria, Chile, Dubai, the Netherlands, Scotland, Brunei, Sweden, Ireland, Morocco, Barbados, Switzerland, Austria, got some new ones today, Portugal, the Czech Republic, Iraq, Spain, Japan, the United Arab Emirates, Tasmania, and all across these United States of America. And again, there's usually some people who say, what about us? And we will read you your location if you would kick that in. So let's go to Lady Trucker Toes from Rumble. How come when I take trucker toes, I wonder what that looks like. How come when I take vitamin D, I have uncontrollable urges to urinate?
That's a really good question, because the only thing I could think of is that one of the side effects of vitamin D is hypercalcemia, which also has a side effect of similar to being a diabetic, which is urinary frequency and thirst. So maybe you're taking too much, which I highly doubt. And that was one point I was going to mention to Carol. Don't forget about the vitamin D as an anti-inflammatory. But I think also what you might want to try is, when you take your vitamin D, make sure it comes with the other factors, K2, magnesium, and that way you can lessen any potential side effects. But again, I did a video on this. I'll do another one. It takes a tremendous amount of vitamin D to create that hypercalcemia. Like, you'd have to have hundreds of thousands of milligrams for months. So I don't know more than that, but I do know if you're taking the electrolyte powder, with that potassium, that's going to push more fluid out. But I'm not too familiar with this vitamin D effect.
Wow. Well, before I get to the answers to our first question, I think we should go to Kate, who is experiencing frequent panic attacks and hot flashes. What should I do? For those that have had them, that's the most horrifying and disabling experience. So I feel for her. What should I do to reduce them? Help, she says.
It's the simplest thing in the world, Steve. It's you need B1. Take high doses of B1, and that should handle it within minutes. And then also don't forget about your breathing, because what happens when people go through panic attacks is their breathing is definitely off. It's like hyperventilating, and you're getting too much oxygen. So why does breathing the paper bag work? Because it gives you more CO2, which then allows the deeper oxygen to go into the cells. So you need that balance. CO2 is not just a waste product. It's necessary to mobilize certain oxygen deep into the cells, into your tissues. So basically, if you slow down your breath and you breathe out for, if you can go for 5 seconds and then breathe in for 5 seconds, and you keep those the same, 5 seconds in, you'll you'll reach a frequency of 6 breaths per minute, if my math is right. And that seems to really calm down the autonomic nervous system really quick. So you're controlling your diaphragm consciously, and it'll pull you out of an anxiety effect big time.
Wow, Kate, we hope that works for you. Keep in touch. Let us know how that worked. Okay, and just to wrap things up, a shout out to viewers who are a little late getting their location to us: Bulgaria, Malaysia, the Philippines, the Dominican Republic, Croatia, and Palestine. All right, folks, thanks so much for watching and listening. And the first question today, a true falser, asked, you can be healthy without being fit. Is that true? And 65% seem to think you cannot. 35% say you can.
Okay, so this is a little bit of a trick question because, I mean, let's just take a look at what fitness is. Fitness is part of health, and it's a big part, I think, because being fit is really the capacity of adapting to your environment. So it enhances your adaptation to your environment the more fit you are. So it's an extra state that allows you to resist stress, resist disease, live longer, be able to be more flexible, look better, feel better, better mood. So this is why people work on their fitness, right? And if you take someone who's the opposite of that, they're very sedentary, they sit too long. If you put them on the floor, they can't really get up very fast because they're not fit. So fitness is not just about, performing better with sports. It gives you that extra X factor that that contributes to your health. So you have the foods, you have your supplements, you have your rest, and then you have your fitness level. So and then you cannot get fit without exercise, without moving. It's impossible. Try to get fit just sitting in the chair all day. It just doesn't work.
That's a tough one. All right, so let's go with our next true false of the day. And here it is, Doc.
Okay, true or false? Drinking and sipping enough water throughout the day is better than waiting until you get thirsty to drink water.
All right, audience, leap on that. Robot from YouTube. I typically eat quickly and sip water between bites. Is it better to drink before, during, or after a meal? Speaking of sipping things.
Should we wait until everyone answers before I answer that one, Steve?
Yeah, why don't we do that? Robot, if you would stand by, put yourself on pause, and then re-energize when we get to that question. Let's see, a good old White Sparrow from Rumble. I have to eat salt all the time, like it's going out of style. I have a chronic hyponatremia for a decade, no help from the docs at all. I'm still trying to figure out why my blood pressure has dropped so dramatically. That seems odd on a lot of salt.
It sounds like Addison's, which is a low adrenal, like adrenal burnout, adrenal fatigue, because when you lose the function of the adrenal, you lose a hormone called aldosterone, and that's all about salt regulation. And those people that have low adrenals need to be constantly taking salt all day long because they're losing it like a bucket, and there's a hole in the bucket. So very soon I'll be releasing this HRV device. I'm thinking probably within a week or so, I'll do a video on it, but that would be a very inexpensive way to measure what's happening to your adrenal glands and your stress and recovery and your autonomic nervous system, and give you clues on where you're at with that, because that does relate to salt. So the other thing that you might want to also look at too, I don't know what your diet is, but what are you eating in your diet? Could there be something, let's say it could be like you're consuming massive amounts of potassium, which could also be diluting that sodium as well. So, I have questions, Steve. So that's as much as I can answer without additional data.
All right, we'll need some more data. Let's see, Mo from YouTube. What time of day do you take apple cider vinegar and lemon juice drink? And what time should I drink a kale and kefir smoothie? Sounds very disciplined, but not sure about the timing of everything. And says thank you.
Both of those could be taken any time, whenever it's convenient. I take my apple cider vinegar and lemon in the morning. Some people take it after dinner, and it just helps their sleep. But that kefir kale smoothie, that might be a good one to take around your meal, so you're not breaking your fast. So either after, before your first meal or second meal.
All right, Christine from YouTube, how do I know if my H. pylori has gotten out of control? I had it and apparently still do. The antibiotics are just not working.
We normally, well, 80% of the population normally has this microbe H. pylori in their body. So it's kind of a normal thing. This microbe does not bother us until we piss it off. So it's not until, we eat unhealthy or we do something like even taking an antibiotic where it's like, okay, you just stressed me out. I'm going to become pathogenic. So the relationship changes. And so I would, I think I would look at, do you get bloating after you eat? Is there any sign of any type of gastritis or ulcer? So in other words, do you get heartburn that gets better when you eat? Like it gets worse on an empty stomach, better when you eat, then that could mean that you still have it. Or it could also be, some burning a little lower. Maybe you have an ulcer in your small intestine. But these, another thing that this H. pylori does is it has to survive in a more of an alkaline environment, and our stomach is really acid. So it releases ammonia, which is super alkaline, to survive. So you might have some ammonia breath that could indicate H. pylori as well. So what I recommend is to take that betaine hydrochloride to acidify the stomach more and more, to put that microbe back in remission where it belongs. Because you can start killing it off, but at the expense of the side effect from all the other things that keep things in check. Because when you take an antibiotic, you kill off microbes, but you don't kill off fungus. So now you get an overgrowth of fungus or yeast or molds in the body, candida. So these antibiotics come with a package, and sometimes when you get treated, you don't look at the consequences of what can happen as side effects or long-term effects. So you just have to weigh everything out and try to cope with it, and try to find a natural remedy. I have several videos on H. pylori. You should look those up. But of course, you might have to just search with Dr. Berg and the subject, because it's harder and harder to find. Like anything related to medical is now completely filtered. So you won't be able to find me. If you just type on H. pylori, you won't find me unless you type Dr. Berg. In the past, you could find me, but not anymore.
All right, well, this sounds like a sound time to talk once again about our friends at Rumble, who don't care about all that stuff and believe that you are mature enough to make decisions yourself and read stuff and either discard it or consider it. So anyone that's not a member over there has signed up for Dr. Berg's show, rumble.com, and of course, YouTube for what you can do, and Facebook. You've got plenty of choices, but make sure that you include Rumble, because then you won't be treated like a child. All right.
Well, it's funny because, Steve, it's what they're saying is like people have health illiteracy. They don't really know. They don't know. So they need help to know what is misinformation and what is true information, which is fascinating to me, because I think people actually can choose on their own. That's just my opinion, but I don't think they have health illiteracy.
Well, one of the interesting things, too, is that the quote, experts change their mind constantly. Yes, you should do this. No, wait a minute, don't do it. Yes, no, yes, no. So really, it's a conundrum, even if you were to believe them, because they don't know what, they can't make decisions. So anyway, it seems silly to me. I'll tell you who can make decisions, and that is our astute audience, who has answered quiz question number 2, which asked, true, false, drinking and sipping enough water throughout the day is better than just chugging it when you get thirsty, I guess. And pretty close to the last number, 63% respondents say it's true, and 37% say it's false.
If you think about it, we are told that you must keep sipping the water, have your water next to you, just drink, have a timer to remind yourself to drink, to get your water, because our body's made of water. Sounds pretty logical, but our bodies haven't evolved with water bottles that we could sip through the day. And I started looking into this, and I created a video on it. I'll release it soon. But it's kind of like intermittent fasting. People survive better when they don't eat so frequent. When you allow your body to get thirsty, you actually stimulate an amazing hormone, which is probably one of the most powerful anti-stress hormones. And it's a hormone that most addicts are looking for when they're going for drugs or alcohol, and that is oxytocin. So oxytocin is also triggered when it's kind of it helps lower cortisol too. It counters cortisol stress when you get thirsty. Interesting. Very interesting. That's one trigger for it. So when you're sipping all day long, you don't get the benefit of the oxytocin. So I just challenge people to try this new thing, which is try to just drink when you're thirsty and just check out what happens to your overall health and your sleep and your energy and all this other stuff. So I didn't say lower the amount, the quantity of water. I just said lower the frequency. Just drink when you're thirsty, and then drink enough water so you're satisfied, but don't just overdo it, because like the other person, you can very easily create hyponatremia, dilute electrolytes. And honestly, Steve, when I get up in the morning, my wife's thirsty. I'm not. I mean, I go until late afternoon without drinking any water. I'm like, I'm not even thirsty. And that seems to work. But it's amazing. You go to a restaurant, what's the first thing they ask you? Would you like some water? Oh, yes. Well, if you're thirsty, drink it. But I think everywhere you go, like people are pushing this water on you like crazy.
Wow. Doc, is there a way to know that you're dehydrated? I mean, is it obvious?
Well, I have a video on that, Steve. You haven't watched that yet?
Oh, yeah, I did. No, I didn't, Doc. Sorry.
Yeah, there's ways to know if you're hydrated or not, but the point is that if you drink a lot of water when you're not thirsty, just notice how your body needs to pee shortly after that. You pee it all out. So the question is, how much do we really need to retain? And I understand if you're prone to kidney stones, okay. But I will say that there is a very, an important point of over drinking than under drinking, but I think we should let ourselves get thirsty and hungry occasionally.
Very good. Okay, Doc, here is our next question, and Charlie is cheering it on. I can hear him in the background there, and there it is.
Okay, true or false? Is it possible to slow your rate of aging?
Okay. Well, here's evidence. I am 40 but look 30. Isn't that incredible, Doc?
Yes,
so there it is right there.
It is amazing. I thought you were 29, actually.
Well, I know. Very close. So anyway, climb on that, audience, and let's see. Let's go back to social media. Here's just a statement. Oxytocin is also triggered by hugs. So hugs for everybody today. That's great advice. I can't wait.
Yeah, it's a love and trust hormone. So bonding with your pets, and with your infant and kids, absolutely.
All right, very good. Well, let's get some more hugging going around. And Brendan from YouTube, could you please explain what a leaky gut and leaky brain are and what causes them? Are those related?
Yeah, they are, because you have this permeability factor. Think about when you eat food, how does the food get from your colon into your body? Through little pores. And those pores can be stretched out and damaged to the point where now there's a bigger hole in there. And so now we have undigested proteins that get through. They don't go through the normal process. So that's how you develop certain food allergies too. Excuse me. So antibiotics can create that, junk foods, but especially gluten. Gluten is the only protein that cannot be digested by humans. And gluten is not just one thing. It's many proteins that can create trouble for you. And there's a sophisticated test that you can get done that looks at all these proteins that I'm starting to study that, and it's fascinating how many people have problems with gluten, and they don't have a clue, because there's an effect of almost like a more opioid effect, which is kind of like a little morphine effect when you have gluten, and it can numb the area so you don't feel it, but it creates the damage. And so it doesn't, you might have gluten and it might not affect your gut, but it might affect your brain. So you have that. And so this permeability issue can be greatly improved with zinc, carnosine, and glutamine, and foods that are high in glutamine. I did a video on that, and the food that's the highest is the food that people tell you to avoid, which is the red meat. But it's also in other proteins as well. So you don't always have to get it from red meat.
Okay, I'm falling behind on our guests in the green room. Candace, I'm going to bring you up next, right after we answer the quiz question number 3, which asked, true, false, is it possible to slow your rate of aging? And I demonstrated that it's very possible. And hang on, let me pull this up. And the audience, 100% of our respondents agree with me. Yes, in fact, you can reduce your rate of aging. Are they correct, Dr. Berg?
So yeah, you can. In fact, there's a in this device that I'm going to be releasing very soon called Heart Rate Variability. It's really called the Stress in Recovery Analyzer. You can check your biological age, and you're looking at the biological age of your aorta, which is a major vessel, as well as your carotid arteries to your neck. It measures the age of those. So that would be your biological age, but it also there's a graph that looks at your rate of aging, and is it less or greater than your actual age? That's the question. So it's a great biomarker to determine if what you're doing is working or not, because it'd be nice to bring your age down. So I have another device that also measures the peripheral arteries. So apparently for me, I'm 58. The age of my aorta is 52, but the age of my peripheral arteries are 32, which I'm happy about that. So it's kind of a game. I always want to kind of see how fast I can turn that dial as low as possible.
Well, who can blame you? Well, okay, Candace, you are on with Dr. Berg, and if you can give us a brisk intro to your question, we'll get it answered.
Okay, great. Hi, Dr. Berg. Thank you for having me. I appreciate your time. I'll start off by saying I have ulcerative pancreatitis. Got diagnosed 3 years ago. I don't know if this is connected, but anytime I don't necessarily think it's keto, but anytime because I eat keto all the time, but when I start doing any of prolonged fasting or like one a day, within like 3 or 4 days of that, every single time in the same exact spot, I get hives. They're usually under my armpit, on my sides, the small of my back, and my abdomen. They start out as welts, hives, and within a couple days, they turn into just a very itchy, nasty, bumpy rash. And then when I start, not necessarily, I don't go out of keto, but when I start eating more, just doing like regular intermittent fasting, like maybe 3 meals a day, it starts to go away. And this is, I've experimented and tested, and it happens every single time the same way. So it doesn't happen to my husband, doesn't happen to my mom, and we have like similar, the way we eat and all the things. So I'm just very curious to why this could be happening.
Well, you always wanted to be different, right? Now, tell me about, have you tried the carnivore diet or not?
No, I wouldn't say no. I definitely probably eat a lot of meat and just like greens, but I haven't gone straight carnivore before.
The only reason I'm bringing it up is that if you have this inflammation in your gut, that's something that could actually benefit you. So that would be one thing I would try. The other thing that I think that you're running into is you're describing more of something going on with your liver. You either get itching, hives, which are triggered by histamines. So if you were to also maybe support the liver more with milk thistle, and TUDCA, that might help you. But those are the two things that I would experiment with to see which one would work.
Okay. Do you think it's when I'm in that state of going more into autophagy that it's my liver is like trying to detox?
Yeah, and I think it's just even when people detox, they have various reactions because you mobilize things that are stuck there, and you can trigger different reactions. That could be happening with you, especially if there's any type of damage within the bile ducts themselves, because that can back up into the liver and then show up in hives real quick.
I do actually
So,
have a gallstone in
what's
there.
that?
I do have a gallstone. Do you think that could?
Okay. Yeah, that means that you're low on bile, and there's probably bile sludge, in which case you should try to find my videos on that, because they're also hard to find. But I think you need bile salts with the meal or after the meal, and then on an empty stomach, you take the TUDCA, 2 in the morning and 2 in the afternoon, just to help potentially maybe dissolve that stone and thin the bile, so there's nothing going on with a backup. But yeah, if you have bile stones are caused because you have a lack of bile, so you just need more, because your cholesterol, the cholesterol is too thick in compared with the bile. So
I do take your bile, the gallbladder supplement, but I've only been taking one, and sometimes I'll take it when it's bothering me. So should I just take that consistently no matter what, and then add the TUDCA on top of it?
Yeah, take 2 after the meal, and then also take 2 of the TUDCA on the empty stomach, because what you're taking is mainly to help you digest the food that you eat, but it's not really working on the other stuff that could be kind of stuck in your liver.
Got it. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's great. Keep in touch with us, Candace. Let us know how all that works. And I tell you what, I have, like I said, been slow on the trigger. So I'm going to rip into our next guest, Rachel from Los Angeles. And Rachel, if you would be brisk as well, it's all my fault, but we're trying to get through all of you. And go ahead, you're on with Dr. Berg.
Hi, Dr. Berg. It's a pleasure to meet you, and I really appreciate all your help and support. I've had a blood test done, and it came out that I'm leptin resistant, even though I'm not insulin resistant. And I've been doing the healthy keto and intermittent fasting, and for the last 3 months. And at first, I lost a few pounds, but I feel like my body's resistant to losing the weight, even though I'm eating all the right foods and healthy foods, and it's stuck, and I'm not sure what else to do. And I've been off of dairy and sugar, and just eating very healthy proteins.
One of the things that happens with that is if you're trying to lose weight, right? And the problem is the weight itself can be creating this resistance. And so, because some of this can actually be right in the fat cells themselves. So it's almost like you need to lose weight to be able to get rid of the resistance. So how are you going to do that? I think there's a couple of things that I would do to just speed things up. Number one, I don't know, do you get a nice quality of sleep? Is your sleep really good or no?
Yes. I try to get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep every night. Although I wake up in the middle of the night, I go right back to sleep usually.
Okay. And do you have much of a stress level?
Just the average once in a while.
Average, okay.
No, nothing extreme. No.
And how many meals a day do you eat?
Some days I do 2, some days 3, depending on how I'm feeling. Some days I get I'm extremely hungry. So I try to divide it into 3, some days 2.
Okay. And then one last question. Is there anything that you potentially could be eating that maybe is not that great or you shouldn't be eating occasionally? Like, do you kind of go off the program sometimes?
No, I've been on this program for the last 3 months, like very, very committed and very strict on it.
Great. So I think you need to do at least once a meal, one meal a day. Now, if that's hard, and because you're hungry, it just tells me you're not really fully in ketosis yet. So we might just need to kind of have you look at those carbs. They might be a little bit too high. And then, of course, you can add exercise to that. But I think if you're doing 3 meals a day, it's going to be hard to lose the weight if you have leptin resistance, because we need to do more fasting. And so I would go to 1 meal a day and keep your carbs low. And you should, in theory, lose your appetite and your hunger. And that's when we know it's really working. That's what I would go for as a goal before you look at the weight loss, because that just tells us, okay, it's working. So you might need to add the berberine, the apple cider vinegar, cinnamon, things like that, but exercise. But I think that 1 meal a day is going to be a requirement for you right now. That's what I would do.
Okay, the only carbs I'm having is just vegetables. I'm not even having grains or any
Right.
kind of starchy vegetables.
Then I think we just need to go, if your carbs are already low, then what we do is we just have to eat less frequent. And with some people, I will tell you this, that I had to have them eat 1 meal every other day. Now that might seem extreme, but their system wasn't necessarily slow, but super efficient. So you have to look at your metabolism as just being more efficient than you would like it. So it doesn't like to waste anything. So you could run a long time on fat. So what we have to do is we have to waste more fat through your breathing and your urination, and that's called ketosis. How do we get in deeper ketosis? Well, more fasting, longer fasting, more prolonged fasting, and more exercise. Those are the 2 things I would look at.
Okay.
By the way, Rachel, I'm sorry, we got to scoot. We're running out of time. But
let's just get one last
All right, go
question.
ahead.
Of course, we always start with 1 and it goes to 2, but go ahead.
Go ahead.
Does number of calories make a difference?
Thank you. Yes. Because we want to keep the calories from carbs low and the protein moderate. But let's talk about fat for a second, because let's say you're, I don't know, doing 2 meals a day. You're having let's say it's 1,500 calories. And 70% of that should be fat. So you're looking at about 114 grams of fat. Well, if you're adding extra fat, or the keto bombs, or the MCT oil, or even the salad dressing, boy, that'll add up really fast. So it would not hurt to lower the amount of fat to force those ketones to be produced from your own fat and not the dietary fat. So I'm glad you brought that up, because if you start calculating the numbers, it's like, wow, I have just a handful of nuts, just like less than a half a cup can contribute to almost a third of all your fat. Yes. Look at that.
That's great. Thank you, Rachel.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right,
Sure.
Great. Thanks for joining us. And let's go to quiz question number 4. And here it is.
All right, true or false? Americans on average sit for 9.3 hours per day. Is that true or false?
Well, frankly, I don't know why anybody sits. I mean, you'll never catch me doing such things. It's just absolutely ridiculous. Let's get this in America. So, yeah.
You're above the fold, Steve.
Oh, yeah, exactly. Okay, let's see. Let's go on to the next question here. Or no, not the next question. The next person from social media. Let's see. Glow 2023 from Rumble. How can I reduce inflammation? My HSCRP score is a 9. I'm on healthy keto. What else should I be doing?
You should definitely look at any type of omega-6 fatty acids, like in any of the oils, and even like chicken. Chicken is high in omega-6. And just so you know, this is kind of shocking. I just learned about this yesterday, and I'm going to do a video on it. Apparently, if you buy chicken breast at the store, sometimes they inject it with soy oil. I'm like, to make it more plump. I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? So that's another omega-6. So we have the omega-6, reducing that, increasing your cod liver oil. Probably start doing a lot of that. But the biggest thing to reduce the C-reactive protein is the vitamin D. Have the more vitamin D, like probably 20,000 IUs minimally each day. That'll help you a lot. And also the other thing that will reduce inflammation is to do more intermittent fasting. That will help.
Great. Okay, well, we've had a lot of lovely ladies on, and now we've got a dude, if he doesn't mind me calling him that. His name is Tal, and he's from the UK. Tal, you're on with Dr. Berg.
Hello. Hi, Dr. Berg. I'm a type 1 diabetic, and due to poor care, I had renal failure about 10 years ago. I had a kidney transplant about a year later, which I was lucky to get. But I was on painkillers for a long time during the process. After the transplant, I tried to get back into shape, and just riding my exercise bike at home at a slow pace, I ended up breaking my metatarsals of both feet. So I was on painkillers for another 6 months, tramadol and paracetamols. But ever since then, I've become addicted to the painkillers. Otherwise, I get headaches throughout the day. What can I do to get over the painkillers?
Yeah, I think you're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because it's hard, and we know the painkillers destroy the kidney, so we don't want to do that. So I would, when we're dealing with pain, I would definitely follow my recommendations on the basic eating pattern first. Make sure you do not consume any gluten or anything that can stir up inflammation, but then start doing more natural anti-inflammatories and painkillers like willow bark, like turmeric, like the vitamin D, which is going to be very important in reducing pain, lots of it, and start to go in that area. But if you can do a bit more intermittent fasting, I think that will also reduce pain as well. Where does the pain come from mainly?
Well, in the head, basically headaches.
The head. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, and that's usually probably referred from other places in your body. And other than that, I would, probably you'll have to come back on and give us the data on your, which we don't have time to do today, but just like the data on your urine analysis and your blood analysis to see, do you have high levels of uric acid? Do you have high levels of ammonia? Like, these are all things that, because we want to get clues, because pain is a symptom of something. So we need clues and try to find more of a deeper cause. And it could be just, supporting an organ. Like if you have a kidney transplant, I think one great supplement that you should take right off the bat, you can get it from Standard Process. You can look it up. It's called Renatrophin PMG. Renatrophin PMG. Have one of those before bed. It just it supports the kidney, and especially if you have a history of medications, it will support that. And someone like you, anytime you're on medications, boy, you better be taking a lot of antioxidants, especially like things like milk thistle, because that protects the liver.
Okay,
because,
I'm on amlodipine. I've been told not to take milk thistle.
You've been told to take it or not take it?
Not take it with amlodipine. Someone
Why?
said that. Someone told me that it's not good to take milk thistle with amlodipine.
Yeah, I've never heard that, but I would get the data first to see if that's actually true, because the milk thistle is one of the best protectors of toxicity to the liver.
Okay.
So,
Right.
so it's like, okay, then why do we want to get rid of that protection? I don't know. But I would want to look at the research and make sure that's true information.
Okay. Great. Thank you for that.
Hey, you're welcome.
Good luck, Tal. Thanks for coming on and being so patient through all this. Let's see. You have
And
something?
Steve, one last thing about that. I knew someone that had to take Tylenol for headaches, and they found that it wasn't milk thistle, but it was turmeric, but that's similar to milk thistle, and their headaches went away. So it's kind of like, getting deeper into the liver and protecting the liver from some toxicity. But go ahead. You were going to say something.
Interesting. Well, I was going to see what the audience had to say about the following. True, false. Americans on average sit for 9.3 hours a day, except for me, of course. And let's see, 92% of our respondents say it's true, and 8% say, no way, it's false.
It's probably more than that, but it's a true statement based on one study I found. But it's probably more than that, because think about people tend to sit when they eat, when they watch TV, then they work, when they drive. Oh my goodness, do we sit? So there's a interesting chair that I have. I'm going to show everyone right now. Let's see if you can see this thing.
Oh, interesting.
This thing right here. Now, I'm not recommending you get this one, but just get something that you can move around and that's adjustable, because that way you're not in this one fixed position, which is just going to mess up your back. The disc in your lower back, when you start sitting, it just increases the pressure by 30 to 40%. So now we blow out the discs, and then we start getting hunched right here. Our neck starts compensating. So I'm going to release a more complex video on all the things that you can counter this excessive sitting, the damage from sitting. You can actually do things to counter it. So I'm going to release that video shortly.
All right, very good. Let's go back to good old Rumble. 8 wings from Rumble. Dr. Berg, you saved me from my gallbladder surgery. My surgeon said there was no option, but your supplements and gallbladder formula made my symptoms disappear. I'm eternally grateful to you. Isn't that wonderful? So
awesome.
We're glad about that. Let's see if I can find one more question. Felchi from Rumble. My cholesterol levels are high and my nervous system is dysregulated. I also have breathing issues, palpitations, brain fog, and more. Goodness, Felchi. What should I be doing to alleviate the symptoms?
Well, I think I would, I don't know if you're on healthy keto. I would start there, and I would do intermittent fasting. I would add exercise into that, but I would also probably take some bile salts to help mobilize this excess cholesterol through the liver and out through into the small intestine. That would be good. And also B3 is a great remedy for reducing cholesterol. It's natural. Has virtually no side effects, but you need the one that creates the flush. So that's the niacin, not the niacinamide. That does other things, but doesn't really do as much magic for your cholesterol as just regular niacin that gives you the flush. So that's what I would do. And there's many other things too, but that would be right off the top of my head what I'd recommend. So on that note, you let me know by the music. Thank you so much for listening this long. I appreciate your attention. See you next week, same time, same place.